That's correct.
3, 2, 0. Take this.
Hey guys, what's up? Listening to another episode of the Underbelly Hours, and welcome you all to this fantastic episode. It's gonna be a great one. We have a band who's gonna be on to talk about some pretty intense things that they've gone through, and also their incredible music, which, like we kind of agreed, is a little bit unlike anything we've really heard. A lot of things we've heard in the scene.
Quite a synthesis of sounds and genres, and it all works really well.
Right. I would argue that.
I love it.
Not even like if you're a rock fan, you're gonna love this. If you're not a rock fan, I think you're still gonna love this.
Right. Like even if you lean more towards like hip hop stuff, like you'll probably enjoy this too.
Right. It's gonna be a great time. Can't wait to chat about it.
Rock, hip hop, all the things.
All the things. Right here on the Underbelly Hours.
There's some punk vibes too.
We're gonna start.
Yeah.
Right here. I'm Adela.
I'm Dan.
And you're listening. Oh, fuck. You listen to an episode of the Underbelly Hours?
In my basement?
Take off your coat, stay a while!
Like listening to new music? Want to know a band before they get popular? Tune into the Underbelly Hours, Sunday nights at 6 p.m. on WRSC 88.7 FM, and discover the best of local, unsigned musicians. Don't miss out on the next big thing.
Welcome back, everybody. So excited to bring us to the core, the meat of this episode, an interview with a fantastic band that is here for the first time on the show, and that Dan and I both love. So we're very excited to talk to them. They're called Broken Robots, and we'll just kick things off from here. Hi, guys. How you doing this fine Sunday?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, I'd say. Can you guys introduce yourselves and what you do in the band?
Yeah, my name is Kat Baker. I'm the lead vocalist and co-engineer and co-producer of Broken Robot.
I'm Tony Baker, co-producer, co-engineer, same thing as that.
You're like the lead engineer.
Yeah, I'm the mixing engineer.
He's
And
the mastermind.
Yeah.
Nice.
Guitar player, songwriter, yeah.
Super
And
dope.
then our bass player, Lonnie, he's not here. He's actually co-engineering and co-producing his own bass line right now today, and he's kind of like...
And then he sends it over, and then we work like that, and he's a songwriter too, so kind of have like a lot of similar roles.
Yeah, we're kind of like a democracy, you know.
We try.
Well, hey, I mean, I feel like more bands should be working together closely, so I feel like that's a good thing. Props to y'all, because sometimes there's people who like, we know how it is with bands at times. People take over, things get hectic, but it's good to hear that you guys are...
Because they suck.
Oh, I don't want to say that.
They suck.
Don't get me wrong, because we have control issues, like where we will try to take control of something, and then the other person will be like, no, mine, and then they take control of it. And
Well, there's also an interesting thing where you wouldn't think, but there's been plenty of times where we have to put things to a vote, and like Lonnie and Kat agree, and Kat and I are married, and sometimes we're just like not on the same tip, and then that's always weird.
me and Lonnie are like, no.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, but, we try.
For sure. Well, before we get into the main core of the questions we're going to ask you, it is a Underbelly Hours tradition to play an icebreaker game with our guests. And since y'all have, this is the first time you guys are on our show, you guys have lots of good music, we figured a good way to introduce your music to our listeners.
Yeah, let's do what was originally planned.
Originally planned?
Yeah, no.
Okay, we're
I feel
gonna
like it's the
circle
first
around.
time game now. Yeah, so let's just do the thing.
Okay.
Synthesis
We'll edit
game.
this out a
Come
little
on.
bit, but
No, we're keeping it all
we're
in.
keeping it all right.
When have we ever had a clean show without any flubs?
That's very true, Dan.
That's what makes the Underbelly Hours what it is.
That's true.
Yeah.
Me slurring over words because I've had, too much to drink. Every
Oh my
episode.
God.
I slammed those 5 beers right before we record, and I just muddle my way through everything.
So synthesis game, Daniel? Would you
Yeah.
like to
Yeah,
play
let's do
that?
that.
Let's do this instead. So this is a great one because you guys are here for the first time too. It's basically a game where we ask you about your music, but don't use musical terminology. We have 3 questions. We'll ask you to describe your music in more abstract ways. And then at the end of it, we ask the listeners to kind of carry everything in their head, like think about it, and I'll listen to the first track of the evening, which will be presented at a later point.
Afternoon.
Yes.
Or morning.
Or in
Whenever
whatever
you're
you're
listening
listening to this podcast. In any case, are
We're
you
not
guys...
live anymore, remember.
That's true. That's true. Are you guys ready to start the game?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like nervous. Why am I nervous all the time?
Oh, you guys will do fabulous. You'll be great. Question number 1. Let's start off with something a little bit more on the, I guess, not super, super abstract side. We're going to say, if your music... I feel like you guys would be good for this. If your music was a meal, type of food, it could be a dessert, it could be a main course, it could be an appetizer. But if your music was like a meal of some sort, what kind of meal would it be, and
I know.
why?
I already know.
I have my own idea.
I definitely know.
All right. Well, what is your idea?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go first.
Sushi.
Sushi.
No way. Shut up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, sushi. Because I don't know about anyone else, but my experience with sushi is that I get it maybe once a month, and I do that because it's not like everything else. It takes kind of an acquired taste, a certain level of life experience, to really appreciate it. You wouldn't appreciate sushi the same way you would when you're 12, as you would a little later in life. There's some stuff. There's like wasabi, kind of messes you up like really hard. It's a really quick time, and then let's go. So I
That's
think
the
there's
best
a lot
part.
there's a lot of little connections there. To I would say our music and sushi.
I think I agree with you for the most part.
Yeah, I almost said pizza, and I almost wanted to. I was really upset with myself.
There's nothing wrong with pizza. It's just the wrong answer here.
Yeah, right. So I would say sushi. You got to come up with something different, though.
So I had sushi, like kind of, like I went in that area, and then I was like maybe more like a bento box, because with a bento box you get like a bunch of just different little bits and pieces of these like awesome foods, and some of them are like healthier, like you got your edamame, you know, it's better for your soul, for your body, and then you have stuff that's like, you know, teriyaki, and it's high in sodium, and it's like very sweet and like flavorful, but it's like, you know, yeah, it's just like because our music, we go in a lot of different directions. We find ourselves like kind of starting off one way in one direction and doing one song that way, and then we're like, what if we did more like this way?
Yeah, every time we kind of start nailing a genre, we were like, oh shit, so we take a left turn. Like we kind of like, we incorporate a lot of different genres, but I feel like as a unit, like every time we come close to like really nailing one, we don't want to. Like we just want to keep kind of moving around, and there's like, you almost hear different like time periods in our music sometimes, I think. So it's like, it's kind of unpredictable in that way, and you get a lot of variety.
Great.
All right.
Detailed answer. All right. So the answer to question number 1 was sushi or a bento box. Question number 2.
If your music was a piece of furniture, what kind of furniture would your music be?
You can go first on this one, I guess.
Okay. If our music was a piece of furniture,
Jesus.
You can go
I
many
guess-
directions with this.
wow.
Furniture.
I feel like,
I don't think I've asked that one
I
before.
don't think you've asked that one yet. That's a good one.
I guess I'd say it would be, specifically this green chair that we have here. We have this like green chair, and it's, you know, here, I'll have to just turn it to you. The green
Okay.
chair, you see it?
I do.
It's
Yeah,
like
we
this
do.
chair, there's my striped shirts all over. But it's like, you know, it's really comfortable, and it rocks back and forth, and it's a weird color. Like, it's not really, like, pretty, but it has, you know,
It has a charm.
like,
There's plenty about it to appreciate, though.
like, there's a story that goes with this chair, and I don't know what it is, because we got it secondhand, but I know that there's, like, this chair has been places. It's from the 70s, I think, so, you know.
Does it have one of those
Just like-
pop-out recliners? Where you like pop it back in it?
Actually, we have...
No, this one just rocks back.
This one just
Oh, it
rocks
just
back
rocks,
and forth.
okay.
We have one of those. That's on the other side.
I'm not sure what all is considered furniture. Is carpet furniture?
I'd
No,
say,
carpet.
well,
It's like a,
That's flooring.
that's
Yeah.
flooring, I'd say.
Area rug.
Yeah.
That's furniture,
yeah,
right?
rug would be furniture. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with the rug then, or something like that. That's been walked on and like has a lot of age and a lot of spills and stains and stuff that it's like
Builds character,
like-
adds character.
a little bit of ugliness here and there, but you just can't help but appreciate the hell out of it. So I don't know, something like that.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. And then question number 3, unless Stan, you have a really good one in mind.
No, hey,
All right, cool.
all you.
Question number 3. Let's do this one. Ooh, I love this one, and I think I'd be very curious to figure out what you guys' responses would be. If you had to open for any band or artist, who would be like a dream band or artist that you would open for? And you have to give a reason why. And obviously, you guys can have different people for this one because it's very big. But I'm curious, who's like a dream person you'd love to open for?
I think we have the same answer. Probably. Well, I don't know, actually. Maybe not. Yeah, we might not. My answer would be Garbage.
Oh,
Because,
well, my answer is affiliated with Garbage.
yeah, so Butch Vig is the drummer of Garbage. He's also like the engineer and the producer. And they're just like, that's like one of Tony's idols.
Yeah.
I know when I was growing up, it was really refreshing for me to hear Shirley Manson's vocals. She's just like grittier than a lot of other stuff going on, and she's just got such a great personality, like in general, like in music and like and otherwise. But that would be for me.
I would definitely say Smashing Pumpkins, just because Billy Corgan has been, like without knowing it, a mentor and a hero of mine since I was younger. I got to experience like his prime at a time in my life that I was just discovering what like music really was, and like the difference between a song that's kind of graphed out and it's good, but then the songs that like just they kind of change you, like you don't know why, and it can happen even just from the music, just the tones of the album, not even lyrically, just music wise. It infiltrated me, it took me over, and it kind of like changed my whole scope. And I know it sounds kind of dramatic, but that's kind of how the artist that he is anyway, so it makes sense. Like, I followed his entire career,
They sorry to interrupt you, but Tony and Billy Corgan chat on Instagram Messenger too sometimes.
once in a while, yeah. So it's like
Now
Nice.
they do,
now we do, yeah. And it's just been like, it's awesome. It's just like, it's almost like a weird, different, like, time. It's, because, musicians like rock, they used to have more of a unattainable feeling to them, where now that's gone. The internet ruined that, and that's fine. So everything's changed. He used to be such this like mystical person, and now he's very real. And it's kind of helped me deal with a lot of issues too. Actually, like, he's given me like some really great advice. So if I could open for the Pumpkins, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, Billy, if you're watching.
Broken Robots.
Yeah, right.
Keep them in mind.
Billy, and if you're watching and want to come on the show too,
Oh.
get on here.
That'd
Boost
be
us up a bit.
fun. That'd be an interesting episode.
Yeah, it would be.
All right, so to recap, everybody. All right, picture this. I want y'all to picture sushi, right? We're going to be picturing the green chair from the Broken Robot studio. And an aerial rug. Okay? You're going to be sitting
Seasoned
in this chair, like the feet are on the aerial rug, you're eating sushi, and you're going to be either thinking about Smashing Pumpkins or Garbage, preferably both, while you're listening to this first track of the night, or the afternoon, from the Broken Robots. I say we go with Burn It Down, since that's a single, and it's got a music video. What do you say, Dan?
I agree. I concur.
We're gonna do it. So you're listening to Burn It Down by the Broken Robots on
The Underbelly Hours in my basement.
Watch it now, you're crashing down in your glass house 'cause you are throwing stones. Quick to judge, you hold a grudge, meanwhile you're hiding closets full of
So now that that song's played and people have gotten a chance to listen to your music, let's go back a little bit to the beginning of the Broken Robots. We don't like to do too many origin stories sometimes because some people...
Marvel took them all.
Yeah, Marvel took them all. But I think that your origin story, from what I've heard of bits and pieces of, is really interesting and I think people should hear. So can you explain how you guys met and when you kind of started forming the Broken Robots?
How should we start this?
I can just blast through it really quick.
All right, well, can I start with the beginning? Because the beginning is like, it's like mine.
It's mine.
Yeah,
actually.
my perspective, I feel like my perspective is, well, I guess, I don't know.
Mine's way better, but go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, I don't know how far I want to go here on this first podcast, but essentially, I was, 23. And I was, like, trying to kick life fast, you know? I had, like, been doing, like, all this stuff and, like, working really hard at this sales job and, like, you know, bought a house and a really expensive car. And I was just, like, trying to do all things. Like, I got engaged to somebody that, like, at the end of the day was, like, not right for me and also, you know, unfortunately was not loyal to me. So all this stuff just kind of, like, was, like, I was overworked. I was not enjoying anything. I had I looked like I was doing really well. Like on the outside, it looked like I was just like winning at life. But I was becoming so mentally ill, working like this job, and you know, I come from a very blue collar family too, where it's like you have to do like hard work or else you know.
No.
I got this car money I got from my first job, car wash, whatever, and gave it up when I was like 18, tried to do the real world thing, and eventually just kind of was like, you know what, the real world sucks and I don't want to be part of it, and I burned it down. Like, that's kind of where part of that song comes from. But I was on my sales route one day, and I you know, I always give this guy that I see panhandling dollars and cigarettes. You know, that I'll drive by, and if I have it, if I have cash, I'll just give him dollars, cigarette, whatever. Big beard, dirty clothes, big backpack with like stuff written all over it. You know, panhandling with a sign, cardboard sign said "Homeless, hungry, broke, please help, God bless." And one day I was like, you know what? Because I started. See, this requires so much backstory. I started using drugs. Hard drugs when I was a kid, like 15, 16 years old, and got off of them when I was like 18 or 19, but for some reason I was just like, you know, my life sucks, the world sucks, like I'm tired of it, I'm over it, just like soaked in negativity, like of everything, just like, I'm just gonna ruin my life. Like, I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but I was like, either way, it was the decision. And so I pull my car over one day, and this guy I always see on my sales route, I walk up to him, and I'm like, do you know where I can get some drugs, you know, some heroin? Like, could you show me, like, could you give me your guy's number or what? He's like, no. And I'm like, what if I give you $50? And, like, what homeless guy's going to be like, no. Like, of course he was like, yeah. Like, okay, fine. So that's, like, essentially how we met. And it started off as, like, he'd hop in my car and we'd drive over to get drugs, and then, like...
Oh, I was the panhandler, by the way.
That was him, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and, you know, through these car rides, we started to get to know each other and listen to music together, and it was, like, this really weird thing, because it was so dark and twisted, the scenario in and of itself, but there was, like, this homeless guy started becoming a person to me. Because he started talking about his life that he had before and what had happened, and like we, you know, started off talking just about music. We realized we really liked the same kind of music, and you know, after a while, it was just like maybe I should start my life over, but maybe not in like the way that I'm thinking. Like maybe instead of destroying my life, like maybe something else could happen. Like, maybe I could follow this music thing. And at first, with us, it was very much like a pipe dream, obviously. We're drug addicts. Like, eventually I broke up with the guy I was with. You know, we still weren't romantically involved at all, but I broke up with the guy I was with. You know, sleeping in my car for a while in a gas station parking lot. And Tony was there with me. And we just kind of, like, we had, like, a working homeless relationship where it was, like, you know, if guys come over and they're creepy, like, come help me, but I'll make more money when I panhandle because I'm, like, this little girl, you know? So it's like we had, like, this working relationship. And it turned into, like this idea of, like, maybe we can actually do the music thing again. Like, what if we get clean? And, you know, sometimes the world just makes decisions for you because we ended up in jail twice. January 6th, 2016.
15 or 16, yeah.
And then May 13th, 2016. So we just had an anniversary.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's been five years. Oh,
Last time we've been in jail.
Let me jump in really quick. So, because, you know, it's the perspective. It's going to be interesting because my perspective is, you know, I had this, when I met her, like, just like she said, yeah, I was panhandling by that point, but there's a lot of leading up to that, obviously. You know, I had I'd worked at every venue in the city. I was a sound engineer. I had, you know, bands earlier on in life. I went out to school out in Arizona. I had some unresolved trauma that I never dealt with, and I didn't really know how to cope, and alcohol was the way for me. That's how it started, and then Xanax, I'm like, wow, it's alcohol and a pill. And then it just got out of hand, and by the time I came back from Arizona, I was, like, pretty addicted to Xanax. And this is coming from, like, a big say no to drugs person originally. Like, all through high school, I couldn't stand drugs. I couldn't stand any of it. So it was kind of like, I don't know, snapped a little bit. I just couldn't cope correctly. So the Xanax turned into heroin, and around here, obviously, you know, it's getting pretty bad. So I picked up on that quick and went downhill fast. And spiral was so fast and so just so tumultuous. It was really bad. And then I kind of blinked, and 7 years had gone by, you know, and it was, you know, people thought I'd die. People, like, it was crazy, you know. I couldn't even believe it was happening myself. But I kind of gave up. I kind of, like, if there is a God, I kind of just said, I'm done, you know. I can't do it, you know. I don't, whatever that means. And I almost had a weird, dark sense of peace when that happened, but I'm not kidding you. That's literally when I met her, was just, like, days after this proclamation. So it's kind of like, I know it seems really dramatic and everything, but this is just what happened. And then, like, she pulled up, you know, and you know what it was, guys? I needed a friend, and she did too. And that's really what the story's about, and that's what happened, is that we were both super in bad places, and we just needed a friend. And that's what explains the fact that we were platonic for almost an entire year, you know, and just became great friends, just listened to each other, because that's all we wanted, really, you know. And after these circumstances came up, we both got arrested for a possession charge. You know, we didn't really do anything. But we needed help, but they thought jail would be better, because that's how the system is right now. And we both went to jail. The judge offered me probation. I asked for prison time because I knew myself, and I knew that I just couldn't do it anymore. And the only way I could possibly stop is if I was actually locked up. So they did. They sent me out to Stateville and then Dixon, and it was, you know, it was a one year bit, and cut in half, and then I got good time because that was the first time. So it was like I was in there for 4 months, but it was enough to, like, you know, really, you know, kind of like show, you know, I don't know, it did a lot to me. And when I got out, Kat was still kind of running around. She wasn't well yet, and then her probation was ending around this time, so she kind of had to shape up, or she was going to be sent to prison. So it's kind of crazy. So she went to Haymarket downtown in Chicago, and wound up tracking me down and saying, "Hey, do you need to get help?" Basically, and I said, "Yeah, I do. I'm about to lose my stuff again." And she's like, "Go to Haymarket. I'm here. Why don't we give this a shot? Like, let's really try it. Like, really, really try it this time." And I said, "Yeah," and then it worked.
He checked into that Haymarket Center so fast.
Yeah. So I checked in, and we did it. We both did 30-day programs in different departments, and then we moved on to the next, like, 90-day, and then after that, like, when we left, we had both just gotten jobs at a pizza place, so we had some cash, and then we had that crossroads, because we had to leave the facility. We didn't have a place to go and a lot of cash, and that's a really dangerous spot for early recovering addicts to be in, you know. And we looked up an Airbnb, and the guy was nice enough to let us have it for a whole month. Got a good price, and so we could get our bearings. And then, like, amazingly, somebody had an apartment in Rogers Park after a couple months, and we were
A coworker
at the pizza place. So yeah, that's like how we got our crap together. You know, that's not even the beginning of the band yet, really. That was just us getting, you know, because it took some time, you know.
Yeah.
But then within the first year at that apartment, in order to really stay focused and not get distracted and not get squirrely in our thoughts, you know, we just kind of worked 50 hours a week. You know, shoveling pizza, and then started buying, because I had all the experience, so we started buying the recording equipment and started recording, like, pretty quick.
We had, like, expenses besides, because when you're on probation, this is a sad fact of reality for a lot of people, is when you're on probation, you have to pay, like, a monthly payment, like, as if you were renting a car, like, because you owe a certain amount of fees for probation, so it's like, I had to come up with $150 a month for that, and then, you know, we had to pay for it together, so it's just like, we were working so much. It wasn't even necessarily because we didn't have anything to do, it's just like, we had so many expenses, but, you know, yeah, as time went on, like, it was like within the first 6 months, we started being able to save some money, and we're like, let's build a studio. Or Tony was like, let's build a studio, and I'm like, all right, like, I don't know what else I'm going to do with my life, because I have a 9th grade education and 3 felonies, so let's do it. And, so we started building the studio piece by piece. We bought stuff off of eBay.
Yeah.
We bought, like, a computer built specifically. It's just, like, a stripped computer, like, built specifically for running Pro Tools. Cost us, like, $600 for that. We bought an interface off of Craigslist. That was, like, $300. So we were starting piece by piece. We bought a $300 microphone, like, this stuff, you know. Tony was running sound at this church, and the church was like, we're getting rid of these old speakers and cables. If you want them, come get them. So we collected those. Like, we had a lot of that where we were like, let's just do it, like, build it, like, and we ended up in our apartment with this Franken studio. But that's how we started, and I had no idea how to run Pro Tools or anything. I had no idea how any of that worked. I had run GarageBand, like,
she did an EP, though, when she was super young, on GarageBand.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so she already had, like, experience, like, songwriting-wise. So, because she picked up on Pro Tools so quick, it was insane.
Yeah, well,
the whole time, this is what's crazy, the whole time I was homeless, because I was homeless for, like, almost 8 years. And it's weird, because when you're homeless, you still find, a lot of homeless people, we can find a way to still have, like, a smartphone. It's weird, I don't know how this happens, but, like, I would still watch, like, YouTube tutorials, like, while I was living under a bridge, like, how to, like, audio engineer tutorials, because I just, you know, I've been engineering for, like, 20 years, so, like, it was weird. Now that I can look at it, like, from this perspective, this far away from it, like, that's so bizarre. Like, I was, you know, it's like,
well, it's sad.
It's sad, but it goes to show you, like, you know, people that are in that worst spot of their life, like, everyone had a life before that life, you know, and that's, you got to look at everybody that way, because it's true, man. Like, I'm lucky, I'm so freaking lucky and blessed that I just skirted out. I've lost so many people to this stuff, so many people, and the fact that we made it out, I almost feel, like, guilty at times, so it's crazy, you know, it was really bad, and we're very lucky, very blessed. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's probably why we're so intense about our music.
We're so intense. That's why we're like, how do we even go into this?
We're trying to get better, not being so intense. Just being like, hey, what's up?
No, dudes.
Yeah, it's real, you know, authentic, and people latch onto that stuff.
Yeah.
And it also bleeds through into the music. I think that's, you know, your music is so diverse, and there's so many, like, layers to it. Even sonically.
Everything is meticulously done. It sounds like, you know, it's really great to hear all the work that goes into it.
Yeah,
you know?
like, I was blown away, because I've heard about you guys for a while and just never got around to checking you guys out because I'm an asshole. And
I get it.
No, it's fine.
And I finally got around to listen to it, and I was just like, holy shit, how have I not been into this sooner? Like, just, we listen to so many local acts and big acts and everything, and I'm like, whoa, this is, like, you guys need to be selling millions of records. Like, I'm literally blown away. And hearing your guys' story, just, it makes so much sense. It's like, oh yeah, there's so much behind this music that is making it great, I think. And the drive, the intensity is obviously also a huge factor into that. Like, you know, people who have had easy run-of-the-mill lives, they just kind of, I don't know, I feel like they take the art for granted.
It's
too,
harder to tap into.
They breeze through it instead of really, like, intensifying their art and their work, and yeah, it's wow. I'm
Thank you for all that. That means a lot. Yeah, the amount of time and detail we put into the production is very intentional. So thank you for noticing all that. Like,
when we started this, we wanted to write music that was new. Like, nobody had heard it before. Nobody, would. I guess not at first. Like, at first we were just trying to see, like, how writing music together would be. That was honestly the first album. Like, the first album was us kind of being like, can we do something cool? And then, like, we started doing it, and then, like, people were kind of goading us on. Because we were, like, known for being people who just, like, did drugs and, like, nothing else, really. Like, we weren't really, I wouldn't say that we were, like, bad people. Like, we weren't, like,
we're very sick.
We were, like, very mentally ill. So, like, people were, like, really, like, all the people in our lives were, like, just go, just keep doing it, and we're like, okay, and then we did it, and because I think the trauma definitely has something to do with it, the anxiety that Tony and I have. People have, like, pointed this out, because, like, we're always running in music videos, and I feel like that's very much, like, our internal personalities is very fast all the time, and, like, so having something like this as an outlet for our own sake of our mental health is, like, it does a lot for us.
Yeah, that first record was all just Kat and I only. We did that. It was more kind of like an indie rock record, and it stayed in this world. Kat and I kind of made this world. And then when 14 to 1 is the first song we did with Lonnie.
He made us cool.
Lonnie brought his slickness to it. Lonnie, he writes all the bass parts and a lot. I love him so much that I put his bass parts out, like, I mix them like lead guitars almost. And I like that because, like, that early 90s hip-hop had that where, like, that the bass almost gets a little, if you know anything about engineering and compression, like, you can glue that bass in and not let it move. Or you can kind of loosen up and let it get out of whack just a little bit and let it kind of move the mix itself. And, like, I've been doing that, a lot of stuff like that, and just, like, taking these little ingredients from different genres, even mixing techniques. And I think that's what people are hearing. Because I'm using, like, hip-hop techniques with indie rock music or vice versa, and it's just, you just feel it. It just happens, So, like, Lonnie brought this element. Kat and I started writing around Lonnie, because Lonnie would bring, Lonnie's an amazing parts writer, so he had all these parts. And Kat and I just started deconstructing them, and then just started writing around them, and that's where a lot of the new stuff came from. Dimes and Quarters, like Dimes and Quarters, Kat asked Lonnie, she's like, I need something specific, I just want something that sounds like this, and he's like, okay, and he worked on it, and within a day, he just sent it over, and Kat's like, bam, and just started, like, it was a new writing style for us, so it was, I don't know, it's been really nice with Lonnie.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dimes and Quarters, we've been chatting for a long time now. Let's throw in another song, because that song, that bass line, Dan and I were sitting here listening to some of your tunes before, while everything was getting set up, and we're like, hell yeah, that bass line's so good. And that song in particular, it's just great. There's so much happening in the background. You can, like, every time I listen to it, I'm, like, listening for a little different thing. So let's spin it, and then let's start talking about how you guys approach, I think, songwriting, because it'd be fun to go and delve into that a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's do it.
You're listening to Dimes and Quarters by Broken Robots on
the Underbelly hours in my basement, I think.
Ooh.
You got copper, you got gold, and you got silver. You always told me everyone's a winner. misbehave. Ashes to ashes, we're clearing the dust, and then we're counting out our money and we're boarding the bus. You see us riding undercover all the way to the spot. You know, once you learn all the ropes, it doesn't matter when you're caught. I've been feeling like a fish out of water. I've been trying to pay the rent with dogs and quarters. I've been trying to play it fair. Why do I bother? I would rather pay the rent with dogs and quarters. I've been feeling like a fish out of water. I've been trying to pay the rent with dogs and quarters.
Here goes the song.
I was gonna go for an accent, and then I was like, maybe
should
I'll do
go-
a Ron Burgundy thing, and then I was like, I'll just make this look as awkward as possible.
You should try it next time.
The what? The Ron Burgundy?
Yes, I would love to see you.
I don't know, I might need. Next week, I'll watch the movie and practice.
Alright, fair enough. Cool, so that was a fantastic tune by a fantastic band, and right before that song we were talking about both, like, fantastic, first of all, that bass line in that song's great, but also just how you guys approach songwriting. You mentioned that you guys kind of piece together your studio, and when you write, you pull from a bunch of different influences. One of my questions is, so you're a three-piece band, correct? And you guys have this very big sound. What other instrumentation, I guess, do you use, or what kind of techniques do you use to make your band sound so, like, nice and full and rich with just three people?
So we write, because of the way we write, it gives us a little bit more freedom, because we write like hip hop producers, like we write in the box a lot of times. Well, at least we were. New stuff is coming up, but we have been writing, in the box. So we'll listen to it. We'll be like, this could use more of this, and like it's a lot of like layering and building stuff. Try to figure out harmonies as much as we can. We're really we just really love doing this. So I think that's a big part
A
of
lot
it.
of it, and there is some science, I think, involved where it's like theory. No one knows theory in the band, but I'm privy to it, and Lonnie knows a little more than even I do, actually, when it comes to, reading. But we're all pretty modest, and I think that helps, because for us, especially with my neuroticism, if I knew too much, it would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's, because we go off of feel, we go off of how does that feel, not how does that sound, how does that feel. That's a real important thing. So yeah, layering, there's a lot, just simple mixing, tricks where you layer things up, but I want to stress that we don't sample. We only sample ourselves. I know that sounds very, very arrogant or pretentious, but we'll write stuff and then sample it and then mess it up and then put it as a layer in the song. Like sometimes you'll hear a bit of a song that's been manipulated in such a way, I don't want to give too many secrets, and then it's part of the melody, and things are happening, and sometimes that can offer a psychedelic effect. It can offer just a unique slick effect. But yeah, everything that we do is organic, and we're super proud of that, because all the sounds, everything you hear, we made those.
Yeah.
So.
And by organic, we just mean that they were all natural. It came from us organically working in the studio. So
In other words,
Right.
we don't sample anything else and use that.
we've done stuff like like one time we borrowed a coworker's broken accordion, and then we were just like holding it in the microphone, or doing things to it, and then we like put it in Pro Tools, and we're like, all right, let's reverse it, let's chop it up, let's auto-tune it, and like see what's the coolest, and then try to fit that in somewhere. We do a lot of that stuff where it's just like, you know, weird things that don't make sense for no reason because we have nothing better to do.
And this, you know, this newer style stuff that's a little darker. I think, you know, Kat has found like some new ways to do things too, and it's like this last 5 songs, with the exception maybe of Mockingbird, have been all kind of like real close in the same family. And I think, you know, the next stuff coming up is going to be in similar fashion, because I think we all feel kind of like we found something special.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and like really push that for a little bit.
Try to stay in the same universe
That we created like the last 5-6 songs.
Right, for sure. Curious that you mentioned, you know, working from the box, like working and writing in the studio as you're writing your song instead of songwriting and then putting it into the studio. My automatic question with that is, when do you know when a song is done then? Because I feel like the danger with that becomes like you just keep layering, keep adding, and
it's a huge problem I know with like all my producer friends. They like,
right.
they'll
Well,
just keep
even
going.
I've tried producing my stuff a little bit lately, and it's just what kind of starts getting me is I'm never really satisfied. I'm trying to figure out when I think is a good end point for a song, because there's an infinite possibilities kind of when you're sitting in the studio, right? So for you guys, when do you determine, okay, that's a good song, enough's enough, and then follow up to that? Do you guys listen to your own music after you produce it, after it's done out in the world?
So for the first one, we have had trouble with this, like not knowing when a song is. I would say we probably take much longer to write a song than a lot of other people do. I don't know when, like, if we're going into the territory of like, you know, some people take years and years. Like, we're not quite that, but I mean, like, a lot of our songs have like hundreds of hours put into them, and that's not always a good thing. Like, sometimes it's because we think too much about it, and then we do something, and then we're like, we don't even like that, and then we have to reel it back, or like, you know, for us, I think from the beginning of this project, we've kind of pushed ourselves to make sure that we finish stuff and not put pressure on ourselves to like be the best, because sometimes like that can be, especially for people like us, like we're so sensitive. So like we want to be the best, and it's like if we want to be the best too much, then like we'll sit on a song for 6 months to a year, and no one ever hears it. And then by the time we're done with it, it's like, do we even like this song anymore? Like, it's like so I think like at a certain point, like when we're done with it, like we all kind of agree like it can't get any better. But if it's taking too long, we'll also kind of be like, hey, it's taking too long.
Yeah, it's poking me. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if I'm the final mixer, it's kind of on me. But yeah, it's like I've been doing a lot of more like subtractive mixing, where it's like just fill it up and then start taking things out to let things breathe. And sometimes as a mix engineer, adding lots of layers can be a sign of insecurity. So you gotta be careful. There's a psychology involved. You gotta make sure, you know, I've become more confident about the moves, and all the writers in the band have become more confident with what they're writing. So it makes like mixing a lot easier too. So I think we needed to find this niche or whatever, like, and it makes things like, I think we can like fast track things a little more, because we want to start writing a lot. That's coming up soon. But.
Yeah, we've got plans.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that like you guys are so like knowledgeable with the mixing and the engineering and the production, because I was listening to it, like I said, being blown away by the production and all the things that made the song great with the layering and effects, and just when, you know, to put something there, and I'm thinking like, dang, if they did this all by themselves and they're just like, you know, just making stuff up,
Yeah.
I got like so much to learn.
Yeah, but it's a good thing.
No, it's like,
all right,
cool. So, but my question, pretty much regarding that, is what are your guys's? Because we don't really get to talk about this on the show that much. What are your guys's like engineering influences? Like, do you have any favorite engineers, producers,
his eyes lit up,
that have really kind of helped shape your guys' workflow, or and knowing when to like, ooh, let's throw that in there, or let's do this, or let's manipulate it this way. Who you guys like follow and kind of look up to in that?
Well, there's like the usual suspects. You know, I like Steve Albini, John Feldman. I went through a whole phase with John Feldman, you know, back in the early 2000s. Butch Vig, George Martin, Andrew Shep. They're all just like, they're all really, really, you know, JJP. They're all clearly very talented, but like the engineers that I like work more off of philosophies than like abilities. Like, you can only know so much tech. You can only know so much information, and until you have to start applying like your life experience, understanding the artist you're working with, understanding yourself. Like it goes way beyond turning knobs. So like the engineers that I like seem to really work well with artists. If that makes it's more than mixed moves, because like everybody's reversed the cymbal. Everybody's done something clever in their mixes, and it came from somewhere. So it's hard to like really bite styles off anybody anymore. But there's philosophies that I definitely take hold of. You know,
Sylvia Massey,
yeah. Like she I think she's out in Colorado or whatever. She's like, no one really even like talks about her much, but like her, like she's so innovative. Like she'll run cables like through potatoes, and then to filter the sound. Like she'll run a guitar. She did it for the Melvins. She ran a guitar through a potato, and then ran it out into a preamp. And then what I love about it is she's like, now listen, that sounds terrible. We're not going to use that. But at least I tried. You know, and I love that philosophy. You know, it's like,
and she's like very like, she has like kind of a thing with too where she has a whole mic locker, and a lot of times she talks about using just like an SM57 on people's vocals, or like just like, because she's not about to be like sold out to being like, you need to buy this $18,000 microphone in order for your vocals to sound good. Like she knows, like a lot of times depending on what kind of music it is, like you might not need the best equipment. Like we use a $300 microphone. That's what we use.
Yeah.
We use an Aston. What is it?
Just an Aston.
Just an Aston microphone. It's like
the cheaper one.
It's not really anything fancy. And like, would we like to use a nicer one? Of course we would, but
we can't afford a Neumann. I want one, but I can't get one right
this
now.
This one's gotten us how far in the past?
Right.
3-4 years.
Doggo.
We have a little studio dog.
Aww. Nice.
He's terrible, but he's very cute.
Has the dog made it into any recordings?
Yay! We get to see the doggo! Oh my god. Beautiful! That's like a collie of some sort? Hi, dude!
Shetland sheepdog.
Shetland sheepdog.
Shetland sheepdog.
I got him when I was like 21, and he's been through everything.
He's been through everything with us, yeah.
He lived in the car with me. I used to tie him to a tree when I panhandled. All of it.
He'd be sitting right there. Yeah.
So he's a little traumatized too, but he's a good boy.
That's awesome.
Sorry to bring it. Didn't mean to go dark really quick like that.
Yeah.
Actually, Dan brings up an interesting question. Has the dog made it on any recordings? Since you like to use cool little sounds.
So we do. There is like Tony has some like solo stuff that he started doing because like a fun fact is when we started the studio, he's like, I don't write with anybody. Like he was very self-important. No offense, but he was like, I don't write with anybody. I don't like writing with people. Like, so sorry, no offense, but I don't want to write with you. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do my own thing and you do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an interesting perspective of that conversation. Okay then.
No, but the point is growth. Like, eventually we started working together, and he was like, oh, no, this is cool, you know, but...
Yeah, no, honestly, I hated writing with you. I've always been very particular, and, you know, it's just, we'll call it selfish, call it whatever, but it's like, I like to write these songs, and they're mine, you know, and it was just kind of a bratty mentality, and then we wrote one song, Slow Motion, which is the song on the first record. Real, not very Broken Robot-y,
yeah,
but just weird, and I like, well, we can totally do this. Let's
Yeah.
just keep writing songs, so we just, that's what kicked it off.
But my point was, there is Benji's like backwards, reverse, like auto-tune, that's some of Tony's solo stuff.
Oh yeah.
We just recorded a punk band in here. They're kind of like punk rock alternative band called Nora Mark. They're really cool. I'm extremely excited about this. That we got
They're out there. You probably heard of them.
Yeah.
But so we recorded this album, and Benji's Box might show up in there somewhere. So.
Yeah, just a little bit here and there.
Nice. Cool. I kind of want to switch gears to talk about the new record that is going to be released. And in order to preface that, let's throw in one more tune we have here from y'all. It's called... Hold up. Let me remind myself what it's called. It's called Drippy.
Yeah.
Trippy.
All right. And we're going to listen to this tune, and we're going to start talking about some exciting stuff that the Broken Robots have coming up. So you're listening to Drippy by Broken Robots on...
The Underbelly Hours in my basement.
Before I win, I always lose, but that's all okay. Ain't got nothing left to prove, but I'll prove it anyway. Everything is going smooth, we're gonna slip away. I think I'm bulletproof, you're paper mache. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Before I leave, I say goodbye, then I close and lock the door. These kids invite me out to play, but honey, I don't play no more. I got debts and I got dues and I got hell to pay, but I think I'm bulletproof, so everything's okay. Don't you try to gun me down, I'll always get away. I ain't going out like that, at least not for today. Everything is going smooth, we're gonna slip away. I think I'm bulletproof, you're paper mache. Gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again. Gonna get it, yeah, we're gonna get it till we got it, then we'll get it again.
New EP. It's called The Escape Artist, and it's going to be coming up soon, right? Because you guys have an album release show on like June 20th. Is that correct?
So, June 12th. We
June
have.
12th, okay.
It's not a full album. It's just an EP. And it's all stuff that's already. We made a music video series. There's a music video for every song.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 4 of them up right now. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And then there's 5 songs. So we did this whole music video series for it. We remastered everything. We had everything remastered, and we wanted to finally put it in a piece of work, like a CD, a hard copy, all together, so people could kind of feel the vibe of everything. Because when we were writing all these songs, we were just kind of throwing them out into the universe. We're like, here you go, YouTube, have this music video, But it ended up being a really cool project because we called it The Escape Artist. Tony came up with the name.
Yeah, I actually came up with the name in prison. You know, I would, you know, obviously because I didn't want to be in prison, but I was, you know, thinking about escapism and how I've been dealing with it in some way or another since I was a little kid. You know, just always trying to escape from stuff. So I just thought it'd be clever, and then it really worked out. And I brought it up, and both Kat and Lonnie were like, "Yeah, that sounds great." I was like, "Cool." So it just kind of happened really naturally, like quickly. And it was nice because I've heard of some people saying, "Don't ever name your EP before," but I don't know because
It kind of drove
it
the
kind
theme.
of pushed the theme from once we named it. We kind of knew if things were taking a left turn where to go with it because of the name of the EP. So I kind of beg to differ with that. Now that we've done that, you know, the kind of reverse thing where we named an album and didn't have songs written yet.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
now we have, you know, so maybe that's a better style for us. I don't know.
But there is a running theme with the EP. It's really all about self-discovery and like mental illness. You know, we've talked a lot about that. A lot of this stuff like really happened. A lot of it is like, a lot of this music is responses to things that happened to us over the past 3 years. Like, you know, we trusted somebody we shouldn't have trusted and got burned, so we wrote a song about it. You know, that's 14 to 1. We trusted, you know, what's next on the EP? Second is
14 and 1. No, Dimes and Quarters.
Dimes and Quarters is first. That one is about, actually, Dimes and Quarters is about specifically when you're a criminal and you're trying to be a better person and you're not allowed to really do a lot of things that people are when, you know, you have a felony conviction or something. You're not allowed to get the kinds of jobs people get. You're not allowed to get federal grants for student loans. I mean, they actually just recently changed that. But, you know, if you kind of feel boxed in, you don't have life skills like other people do because you were raised incorrectly or whatever it may be, and you find that you can make money and survive doing illegal things, but you want to be a good person. So Dimes and Quarters, at the end of the day, is really about the struggle and the push and the pull of, like, being a good person versus being, like, okay and stable. And that's, like, a real struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's that song. And then Drippy is, of course, kind of the lamenting, like, self-esteem bringer-backer song. That's my favorite song. I'm not supposed to say that, but it is. That one, I'll sing that song to myself sometimes, too. I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, if, you know, if I'm, like, it's just, like, before I win, I always lose, you know? It's, like, it kind of, like, keeps me going sometimes. And then we have Mockingbird, which is a very real experience with the internet, and it was amplified times 1,000 this year. You know, we don't like to get too deep into political stuff or whatever, but this was specifically about the internet and misinformation and the way that it can severely affect your mental health and make you kind of crazy because you don't really know what's going on and you're just trying to figure out what's going on and you can't. So that's that one. And then Burn It Down, which we touched on earlier. That one's about starting your life over or starting over new or realizing that you need to empathize with people, just kind of a self-awareness and starting over.
There's a lot of you know, a lot of redemption and like personal growth. I think is like really what the escape artist is like acknowledging that you might have been, you know, not the best person, but knowing that you're trying to be a lot better is like a huge theme with, you know, Kat and I just in general.
Yeah.
Like music or no music.
And
you know?
not escaping, because that's Tony and I think the biggest thing we had in common when we started hanging out together and commiserating and being, you know, we just love to escape reality. And it's like you run from your own reality for so long that, like, it piles up and everything piles up on you. And, like, it's just, you just want to run faster then because, like, turning around and facing it is so difficult. And we were both a lot like that in our lives for a long time. And I think over the past 5 years, the big difference that has really made us go from being so sad to, like, so much more stable is turning around and facing those problems as they are instead of running from them. Like taking care of it, even when you don't want to, even when it's easier to, like, say nothing and be quiet, you know? It's like, when you can face these problems, you live on a whole different plane of existence. So that's what we're trying to be. We're not perfect, but
No,
that's
far
kind of,
from it. That's the whole point.
yeah. And Lonnie too. Like, that's Lonnie's not here today, but he's had a lot of his own personal struggles too, and this is very important to him. He straight up, like, broke his back basically at work. He works for the tollway. He broke his back, and he had to go through, like, years of recovery and like all this stuff, and like really having to spend a lot of time alone and like facing his problems too. So this all applies to him. Like he's not necessarily a recovering addict, but he's definitely been working on himself as a person too. You don't have to be like a homeless person or a recovering addict to make a decision to be a better person or a stronger person every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where he comes in.
Right. I think just like a quick 2 cents. It's so important and it's so good to have something like music though to work yourself up from strange places that you kind of find yourself in life. I mentioned a comment on the Underbelly Hours and I think on my personal page a couple weeks ago, just out of curiosity. At 2 a.m. kind of thought, I was listening to a lot of music. I tend to listen to a lot of sad music because I just like the intensity of it. But I was thinking about, like the whole starving artist, like the artist who is more of a masochist. Artists are more like people who are drawn to pain. I was thinking about that stereotype and I put it out into the world, like, just as a question, do you guys believe in this idea of like artists are doomed to be like seeking pain and masochists and stuff? A lot of people responded back to and they said something that I think really fits well with this theme that you guys are talking about, and they said that what's beautiful about music and art is that it's a form of communication. It's a form of expressing the things that grow so big in you that you can only let them out in a positive way through music or through art before they destroy you. And I think I've been thinking about that a lot this week, and I really think that the way that you guys write your music, it's a really beautiful way of encapsulating and kind of paying homage to the shit that people have to go through, So
All right.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I saw that, and I think a lot of artists are free to like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're
predisposed.
Yeah, predisposed. There you go. Predisposed to intense emotions. I think that's what draws artists to become artists, because they feel things loudly. And I think that like there's definitely, the way I look at it, yeah, it's that if you stay there and you force yourself to stay there, like, then I guess there's like masochism involved. But I think a lot of people can and do like grow through their art. That's like the fun thing about following bands too. Like a lot of the time they start off in one place and they're one person, and then like 10 years later they're completely different. And it's, Tony actually has a thing with the Smashing Pumpkins and Billy Corgan about this, because Billy Corgan talks about how people need to grow with him because his music has changed so much throughout the years, and people are always like, no, we like the old stuff better, and it's like it's a certain style is one thing, but artists have to grow. It's so important. Everyone needs to grow.
Yeah.
But
I think not being tied to like a major is one of those things where it's a benefit, because we can continue to just grow and tell our story and just keep writing music. Because when you're signed, I don't know that you can really have the kind of freedom that we have. I don't know how we would perform. I don't know how we would do with strict deadlines of very expensive music. Like that kind of thing. Maybe we would do well. I don't know. But I know that our dynamic here is in like we've thrown out so much stuff just because it may not feel authentic. If we get that feeling, it all is so gone so quick. And I think a lot of artists or entertainers, I would call, are parodying all the stuff nowadays, and it's weird. You gotta like sift through it, but like when you just feel it. I don't know how else to explain. Like you can just feel the authenticity when it happens. I think with artists, I don't know how, and I like not knowing how. That's like that mystique.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wouldn't point out anybody pro or good or bad. It's just that there are definitely artists out there that parody, and then there's artists that know it's going to sell, and then there's artists that just have no other choice but to write music, and that's the kind of stuff I love.
Right.
There's nothing else they can do. They might be able to get do a couple things, but
that's kind of like us. Like I think like to a certain degree, like this with the starving artist. Every time I hear that, it's just like there is like for us, there's just no other thing to do. So it's like we're gonna starve either way.
It's not but going all in is not as dramatic for Ken and I, because it's just that's just kind of how we go with everything, So yeah.
Cool.
Extreme. Go to play.
Sunday.
Like we are a mid-1990s commercial for Mountain Dew. That's who we are.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, I love that, bro. Oh man, fantastic. So let's really quickly do talk about that. So your EP Escape Artist coming out. So stoked. Where's the show gonna be? I know you just announced it, I think, a couple of days ago on social media. And where can people buy tickets if they're interested in catching it all live?
MartyrsLive.com. The Martyrs website. Martyrs is a venue that's very special to us because when Tony and I were doing, building our studio on our pizza money tips that we were making, that was like all we had, and really just doing our own thing. And Tony's like, I really want to get back into live sound. And he had like self-esteem issues because nobody can come on at 8 years old with this and be like, everything's fine, I'm great. Like, he had self-esteem issues he had to work through. Like the idea of a venue we've been wanting him to work there. He's got a lot of scarring too. I'm sure that probably adds in. It's just like, oh, why does this guy have all these scars? Like whatever. Like it's just like, and he just so happened to like reach out to Ray, the guy who owns Martyrs, like asking him one day, like, hey, do you have any live sound work to do? And Ray's like, no, not really, but keep in touch. And then, like, Tony would reach out, like, every couple months, and eventually he was like, yeah, I have this position open, come through. And Ray gave Tony a chance when it felt like we didn't have anything else to, like...
To make it what we were doing real. Like, getting that job did so many things, because I know Ray for years, and it was just, he waited for an opportunity. He's like, yeah, come through, and I got the job there running sound again. But it kind of solidified our whole idea. Like, okay, we're doing it. Like, all right, I got a job back here. The music's happening. Like, we're gonna do this.
And it was like he like knew like Tony had been through something too, and that's like for people to trust you after that sometimes is weird because
it's really tough.
Drug addicts do sketchy things, so like there's like a certain amount of trust that he gave us like off the bat that was just like so important to where we are today that I don't know that we would even be here without him. So like we wanted to make sure our first show back in the city was at Martyrs. We wanted to make sure that we gave 50% of the door to Martyrs because they've been struggling really hard. They have not really been getting as much help as they should be getting this year with everything that was going on. And, like, we just want to be able to give back, even though it's not much, $20 tickets, they get half of it. Everybody gets a free EP when they walk in the door, so it's basically like paying $10 for an EP and $10 for a ticket.
Yeah, you get a hard copy with the artwork and everything.
Yeah, and we made sure we went all out with this. We went and we hired somebody to do the artwork. Brandon Paxton, he's out of Ohio. He's just like really excellent. Yeah, his wife does photography, and he like did a combination of graphic design and her photography, and like just nailed this vibe, this like mysterious woman that we wanted, like. Because we really wanted like the artwork to be meaningful and have like a meaning and be relatable to people, and he absolutely nailed it. I was so surprised. But yeah, like everybody gets the hard copy with the special artwork, and yeah.
It's June 12th.
June 12th. We go on at 9 p.m. It's just 1 hour.
Just it's spaced out. Only 50 tickets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As I'm pulling up the tickets on my Safari, because I just got confirmation that the thing I thought was happening on June 12th is not happening for me, so I'm gonna go. Seriously, it sounds fantastic.
That's all great.
Dude, anytime that you just miss me. I miss live music so much. First of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, anytime people are giving away like physical copies of EPs, I don't know if you're the same way, Dan, but I freaking love like albums. Yes. Physical albums.
Yes.
Holding them in my hands. So, gotta add it to the collection.
Absolutely.
It's like a collectible. That's like, we have different like local artists where we have like, they're just like, and we don't open them, it's just like we have this now.
I don't know if it's the word, but it's the tangibility to the artist. You actually get to hold something and touch it, and it does something to the soul, I'm telling you. It's different than just streaming, and it's different than just uploading. I don't know why you feel an attachment. I love it.
Yeah, maybe we're like old heads, but I really don't believe that digital music is going to get rid of physical music. I just think that physical music is going to be more meaningful, and people are going to spend less time going out and buying, a big name artist on a big label CD hard copy than they are on like, you know, support. It's like it's a little support ticket. You know, the $10, like, it all comes back into making what we do better. So it's like,
I don't know what this says about me as a person, but what I'm hoping is that people will just stream the music free if it's like a really, 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 really high artist, but they'll go and buy from DIY artists. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's the hope.
that's the hope.
Right.
You know, like, there's so much, it's so saturated, there's so much music, so you can't possibly buy everything. It's just not possible, you know, but I really hope that we get to a place where people are like, there is a difference, though, for the bands that do something to you. Like, people are going to buy those things, you know, like, that's what we're hoping, so.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I think it's that time where we shout out the socials and wrap this sucker up. So where can everyone find you on social media, or, you know, which social media platforms are you on? What's your tags and everything like that?
So we are Broken Robots Music on Instagram. I think on SoundCloud. We're not super active on SoundCloud. It's really Instagram and Facebook. Broken Robots on Facebook. All that stuff comes up when you Google us too.
Nice.
Cool.
Website is brokenrobotsmusic.com.
And then you got a YouTube page with all your music videos.
Yeah,
Yep.
YouTube as well. Yeah, Broken Robots on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool beans.
Cool. So everyone go follow their pages and stream their music, watch their videos, and then go buy a ticket to their release show, because it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna rock, and you're supporting a local artist. You're getting new music, and you're supporting a local venue, which, as we
Exactly.
know,
Exactly, yeah.
been through some shit times. So let's make sure that if we love a venue, we want them to come back. We want to go support them as often as we can. So yes.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, and I'm really upset now.
I'll take lots of pictures for you.
Please do.
I'll send them your way.
Yeah. But yeah, awesome. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story and sharing your music. I think you guys are really, like, truly inspiring. You're making truly inspiring music, at least for me. And if everyone else disagrees, then they're wrong, and I hate you. But yeah, no, like, I'm wishing you all the best and all the success, because you guys deserve it. This music needs to be heard. I think it's truly something special.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying truly, because
it's truly great.
I'm sold. You guys got me.
Mm-hmm.
And once you sell a bunch of million records, you guys also gotta, like, write a book or something, because it's just
People been telling us that.
yeah, it's so fun hearing you guys talk about all this stuff. And yeah, I think it's really inspiring. It could help a lot of people.
Passion comes through.
Yes.
1,000%.
We're talking right now for down the line, having been a Patreon where we can tell all of our stories. We get so many stories.
Yeah, that's
so many things.
With social media, we noticed, like, as we kind of started gaining more of a following, we also started gaining, like, more trolls. So we've kind of quieted up a little bit, but it's not because we don't want to talk about it. We just don't want to talk about it to people who are just, like, gonna not, like, they're not gonna get value from it. That's, like, a problem, I think, with a lot of people. Is, like, you want to talk about these things. Like, these things need to be out in the world, but it's like...
Especially for her, unfortunately, she gets more trolls than I do, too. For some reason, I get, my interaction seems to be a little more, like, just, like people, like, root for me or something, you know. And Kat gets that a lot, too. But then she gets these trolls on thought. It just, like, takes it all down.
Women just get trolled more.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Like, it's like, so, yeah, but we are probably going to do a Patreon.
We want a safe place where we can tell people what, you know.
And if people want to go and troll me, they have to pay $10 first.
Which, you know what's funny though, Kat? I can guarantee you'll have people pay $10 and they'll still come troll you. But at least that way, you're getting the money out of those suckers.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I've been saying. Like,
They will, because they will.
Trolling the
if people
trolls.
pay money, in fact, we're going to do a tier on
That's Josh.
Patreon.
That's all Josh.
We're going to do a tier on Patreon where it's like for $30, you get a bunch of embarrassing pictures of us. Just do what you want with them.
Right.
Not compliment.
Stupid,
Like, we're just like, where we like look dumb. Like, but it's like, I don't care. Like, just pay me though. Cause
Right? Oh, that's so great. Oh my gosh. Well, can't wait to hear when that comes out.
Yeah, that's...
Y'all have to come back on the show to talk about all your subscription tiers.
yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that's a show, though. And if you like these kinds of stories, if you like hearing about local music, you like listening to local music, feel free, consider subscribing to us too. The Underbelly Hours are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, unfortunately, YouTube, and all streaming
That's all I heard.
platforms. That's me. I'm trying. Not understanding anything yet. I feel much older than I actually am when I'm on TikTok. But yeah, the Underbelly Hours, it's everywhere.
Not just local music, but great music.
Yes, it's not just, yeah.
We're raising the bar here, folks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Right. And actually, really quickly too, feel free to also subscribe to us because we're starting to do a monthly showcase at the Dry City Brewery.
The Underbelly Hours
Region.
Spotlight.
That's right, where we're going to be bringing you artists who have appeared on our show live. Let's bring out that. Whoa! Look at that poster! Wow! Oh my goodness, so fancy. We're gonna be bringing you artists every month. Great beer too. Great conversation. Great company. Great music. Check it out for those things.
Yeah. Or else you suck.
Thank you for the motivation. I'm sure everyone's just pleased as fuck.
Yeah. No. Hey. You gotta know.
No one wants to suck.
No one wants to suck.
So subscribe to the Underbelly Hours. All right. Well, that's been a wrap.
I feel like that's my version of saying be there or be square.
Yeah. Be there or you
Be
suck.
there or you suck.
Fair enough.
Asshole.
Very convenient, I will say.
All right.
That's how I do.
There we go.
All right.
And you're Dan.
And you're Adela.
This has been another episode of the Underbelly Hours.
In my basement.
Bye.
Are you tired of listening to the same bands over and over again?
Over and over.
Stop listening to what mainstream media chooses for you
You filthy casual.
and try something new. Tune in to the Underbelly Hours every Sunday night at 6 p.m.
On WRSE 88.7 FM.
for exclusive interviews, unreleased content, and more from the depths of Chicago's underground. I'm Adela.
I'm Dan.
Take off your coat and stay a while!
Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you stream your podcast, thanks to Ox Audio, a Chicago-based podcasting platform.